Morning, guys. Morning, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome, welcome. Happy Thursday, May the 6th. Welcome in. Welcome in. It is a day of days today. Today is a day we should celebrate. Today is a day we should look at and smile, right? A little bit of a gap up in the pre-market session, a little bit of love on Nvidia, okay? And perhaps one of the best trades of the month, okay? Uh, Happening at 3:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What a joke. What a joke, right? Unbelievable that they're giving these trades at an hour that nobody should be trading. But we saw it, and we're going to talk a little bit about the flip on Nvidia above 115 today, major level. We're going to talk about some levels on SPY, some big levels on ES, right? We'll talk about what's going on in the market. A lot of stuff happening in this morning session, and it's not going to be a session for the week, right? The reason why is because we have some big data today, but we are coming off of a major level. Where is my data? Where is my data? Where is ES? Where is ES? Where are we at? ES doesn't want to show. There we are. Okay. ES major level, right? The major level of demand tested yesterday's session. This is what's going on today. We have a lot of big stuff to go over in this morning session on this Thursday, and we're going to talk about everything. We'll talk about SPY's chart. We'll talk about ES. We'll go to the Qs. We'll talk about a major level in the QQQ, a level that we haven't spoken about, right? A major level. We're going to talk about Tesla. We're going to talk about Tesla. We're going to talk about AMD. We're going to talk about, wait for this, Nvidia, right? Nvidia, one of the most beautiful technical charts of the week. We're going to talk about Amazon, 193 in Amazon. We are going to talk about Netflix, the all-time high level. We're going to talk about Apple, that 202 level of resistance today. Okay, so a lot of big things to go over in this morning session. Hope everybody's well rested. Hope everybody had a nice FOMC day yesterday and survived yesterday's session. And we are going to attack today's session with the right mindset. So, someone's saying, Joya says, I'm not feeling liberated. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Welcome in, everybody. It is a big day. It is a big day. 800 people here this morning. We have, how many likes do we have before we get started? We have how many likes? We have 178 likes with 800 people here this morning. It's not horrible, but we could definitely get that up, guys. Let's get the likes up, guys. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Again, it helps the algorithm. It makes it easier for me to grow this channel, and that's the goal, right? Is to grow this as much as I can, so we can have as many people here as we possibly can, and there's more people in the party. So let's move on, guys. We have a lot to go over. Welcome in, Carlos, Venus, Spliff, KOP, Carolina. Welcome in, guys. Let's get started. So today's session, it is all about one thing today, right? So yesterday was all about FOMC. Today's session, we do have some earnings reports to discuss first, but it's all about one thing that's happening today at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll talk about it in a second. But in the earnings side of things, this morning session we had Piton, we had Shopify. That's all the reported this morning session. After hours today, we have Coinbase, and we have Meli, Mercado Libre, MELI. I thought for some reason, I thought Meli, Mercado Libre, already reported earnings. So this is interesting to me. I didn't realize that they haven't reported yet. I want to go look at Meli. We'll take a look at Meli and see if they're. I'm pretty sure they did report. So we'll take a look and see what's going on there. Besides that, yesterday's session we had NVO, we had Walt Disney, we had Uber, right, in the pre-market yesterday, and after hours we had AppLovin, Carvana, Arm. We can take a look at these smaller names, and see what's going on here on the earnings side. But the central focus of today's session, okay, guys, is this morning we have data all day. Okay, we have data at 8:30, we have data at 10 o'clock. But the most important thing that's missing on this calendar is the fact that we have Trump speaking at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Trump is speaking, and let me just confirm this. I'm 95% sure. Trump speaking today. Can you guys confirm? Yes, he's speaking today. Yes, Trump announces trade deal with the UK first since his tariff set markets. Okay, so basically, we do have a event today at 10 o'clock, and then we must be prepped for that event. The market's going to obviously react to that. Going into tomorrow's session, do you guys see? Do you guys see the absolute? This is an absolute Fed fest tomorrow. I don't know what's going on here, right? I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if they just all thought, hey, let's just make Friday an unbelievably horrible day, right? This is like Burning Man for Fed speakers, right? This is the Burning Man of Fed speakers. Let's just have it. Let's just make it horrible, right? 5:55, 6:15, 6:45, 8:30 barking, 10 o'clock. What the hell is going on here? Tomorrow's session. Tomorrow's session is going to be an absolute fest. But again, today's session is all about 10 o'clock data. So let's dive into it now. That's all we have to be prepped for today's session in terms of economic reports. We are now going to talk about our charts today. Let's take a look at our SPY chart. So on the SPY chart, the what happened yesterday basically was we had a few things happen. The first thing was we spoke in the pre-market session about the 562 supply, right? We said if you're going to short anything tomorrow's session, your main focus should be to do what? Should be to look for some sort of pop trade into our 562 level and look for a failure down lower. And that's our short trade yesterday session. There's shorts there. And we also mentioned the fact that we can go long back at our tactical demand here between 555 and 556, which is our big area of support. If you don't believe me, which trust me, I had a few people in my IG yesterday message me saying, "Cap, you didn't take puts at 562." Well, we did take puts at 562. We did, and granted, I did get out of the trade once. I got out of the trade here as it wasn't working, and then I got back in when I saw it begin to work. And that was my day yesterday. Caught a little bit of SPY short downside play, but most importantly, not the fact that we caught it, but it's the fact that we spoke about this exact level pre-market yesterday. We said, hey, if you're going to do anything, watch the 562 shorts for puts and watch the 555, 556 long for longs, right? That's all you did. That's all you had to do yesterday, and you would have had a successful day. Again, you had to be patient, but if you waited for your levels, you probably had a pretty successful day yesterday's session. Now, going into our session today, the levels that were important yesterday are still very much so important today. And what do I mean by this? What I mean by this is the reason why it's important today is because we are coming off of a major 555 support. Okay, so the 555, 556 support is the equivalent of what level on the ES? It is ES 5600. If you guys look at the title of the live stream this morning, is conveniently 5600 ES hold, right? That is what the title is of today's session. The reason why this is so important is because this was that major level, right? If you go to the 15-minute time frame, we were bullish as long as we held the 555, 555, 556. Yesterday, we formed a low day here at the 555, 556, and the market is obviously reacting off of this support. Now the question becomes, what do we do now, right? If you longed this level below yesterday and you got some strength, or you shorted the highs yesterday and got some downside, well, today's session, you should be looking to see, can we now build, right? We've held demand now. The question now is, can we build? Can we break above and hold above the 566? Because if we are above 566 today, right, if we can see a little bit of a potential break and retest here at 566, we should see the next level here at 570. That's the first thing I'm watching today's session. But if we fail the 566 today, right, well, just like we saw the big upside move yesterday's session, we could see an equal and opposite reaction move down back below it here to 555 demand, which again is our demand zone below. So the way I would operate today, right, is I would look to see, hey, are we above the 566? If so, then be bullish, right? Then look for long side trades and look for longs back into 570 in SPY, and even look for the 570 break and retest above that level for long side trades. So this is what I would do today's session, right? I'd be fully bullish as long as we're above 566. Here's the problem though. Here's the issue though. The issue right now in the pre-market is in the short term, we were actually under 566, right? And I don't really like this flip happening right now at this very second, right? This flip right here that we're seeing right now, right in front of us, this is not something that I'm pleased to see, right? I wanted to see us maintain above the 566 today because that would give us the most bullish case scenario back into 570. But if we are under 566, then I would argue we should move back down to 562, in which case 562 is long spot number 1, and 555 is long spot number 2. So longs are valid here, longs are valid there. Those are the two long spots I'd watch. I'd look for maybe a hold potential here at 562. And then secondary level, again, is the same level from yesterday's session. I'd look for holds here at 5600. If you want to long, you're longing above 566. That's your bull case to move back into 570. If you want to short, the only short I really see is if you just want to get really aggressive today and you see us fail here at 566 and you look for a little pre-market fail and a move down lower. That could be a potential short that we see today's session. But again, it's just based upon the levels today. It's based upon, are we above 566 or are we below 566? Are we pulling back to 562, which again is our support from yesterday's session? That's where we can look for bounces or bounces there. And that's it. That's all today is about, guys. It's about 562, 566, and 570. Bullish above 566. We are still bullish here as well, but it's not, we're not going to see the crazy upside move. We'll just look for some sort of knee-jerk reactions off demand and some knee-jerk reactions off demand here back in support. Okay, that's my mindset today. I know it's not so clear, but it's important that we talk about these things as they are and not embellish it. Okay, now on the ES chart, this level here on the ES, if ES will load for us, because for some reason, TradingView is not being fun this morning. I don't know why it's not being fun. You know why? It might be because the contract adjustment. So I'll go over here. Nope, it's not. So ES just doesn't want to load for us. This is exciting. Does anybody know why this is not loading for us? I don't know why it's not loading for us. It wasn't loading before either. Let's give it a second. It says invalid symbol, right? That's crazy, right? But the important thing about the ES chart, we'll go back to SPY now. So we have to talk about ES in the eyes of SPY. The important thing about the ES chart is the fact that we maintain this 5,600 level, right? This level is your level to watch out for, okay? If we are maintaining 5,600 ES, we are still obviously in bullish sentiment. In the short term, however, right, we do have a level here at this pre-market area of 566. It's not a halt, guys. I don't know why it's not loading for me in my end. It's hard to tell. I'm not sure why. It was loading before, but now it's obviously not loading. You can see it's obviously not loading for me. Other charts are loading, like SPX is loading, but on the ES chart, just simply is not loading. It's probably just an error on TradingView. Guys, so we'll move to QQQ. If we have time to go over, what's going on here? I don't know what's going on with my charts today. But if we have time and I'm able to fix it, we'll go over ES towards the end because it is important. I do want to go over ES. So on the QQQ chart, obviously we're seeing a gap up in the market. The gap up we are welcoming with open arms. This is the 475 demand hold from yesterday's session. 475, 476 demand. Cottrell, thank you very much, Cottrell. That is very nice of you. Very kind of you, Cottrell. Yes, absolutely. We'll do Google. Google actually interesting because Google had some news. So we definitely will go over Google today because obviously Apple receiving news over yesterday's session regarding the Safari AI. So we'll talk about that towards the end of the stream. Okay. But in the short term here in Qs, right, you saw us maintain 475, which was our demand yesterday. But here's the problem. A level that I had not really had on my chart. You see I had 492 on my chart, right? 492 as my key level of resistance. But if you were to do something here in the Qs and turn on your daily 200, I think it's a daily 200 SMA. It should be the daily 200 SMA. I think it is. But of course, right? Of course, TradingView is absolutely bugging today. You can see runtime error. I mean, I don't know what's going on here because I have the top level of subscription here on TradingView. But you know what? That's fun. TradingView wants to be fun. We could do a refresh. Let's do a refresh. See if it loads. Let's do save and reload. Let's see if this refreshes. Let's give it a second, guys. All right, now there we are. Now we are in business. Look at this. Okay, we are in business. So here on the QQQ, you can see, right, you have a major level of technical supply here at 492, and most importantly, right, a level that I had not been aware of is this daily 200 SMA, right? The daily 200 SMA is sitting here right at 492. You can see 492 as a very important pivot. The question becomes this morning, do you want to long into a gap up this morning session into the daily 200 SMA here on the Qs? I think the answer is no, right? I don't want to long here, right? This is not where I want to be longing in the market. If I'm going to long today in the Qs, if I'm going to long today in the QQQ, I'm longing on a trade above the 492, a break and retest above 492 for long side trades, or I'm logging on some sort of pullback at 485, right? 45 pullback or 492, or maybe even a 475 pullback today's session. But it does not mean I want to long. I don't want to be, it's 9:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Brett says the market's bullish. I'm all in. we're going higher, bam, this happens, oh my God, I blew the retirement, right? This is not what you want to do. You want to wait at this moment, you want to wait for either a break and hold above 492 because that's where you get upside back into 500 here in the Qs, or you want to say this. You want to say, you know what? If the market does pull back today, I'm looking for longs in my pullback zone. I'm looking for longs here at 45. That's what you're doing, right? That's really all it is, right? You're just respecting levels this morning. You're saying, you know what? Let's pull back here. I'll look to see, hey, are we setting up a hold here? Are we showing retention here? If we are, boom, long, right? Stop loss under 44, upside trade back into 492. Or are we seeing a potential break and hold above these highs over here, above the daily 200 SMA, boom, long trade back in 500. So that's what you're doing today. You're just simply being aware of the levels. And now we are going to try the ES chart and we're going to hope and pray that it loads. Bam, we are good. Okay, so here on the ES chart, what's important about the ES chart? Okay, we shorted the highs. We shorted the highs yesterday on the ES chart here at 56.58 here in ES. Bam, downside move. But that wasn't the theme of yesterday. The theme yesterday was not this trade. The theme yesterday was actually this trade. The hold of 555, the hold of 5600 here on the ES chart. ES is now maintaining above 5600, whipsawed right off of it, broke above 562 here SPY, which was our 5656 level here on the ES chart, and we are now fully above this red zone. The red zone is this red zone right here. In fact, we're now going to turn this red zone into a green zone. Why? Because we are turning resistance here at 562 SPY, resistance here at 5658 ES into support here pre-market. Your main focus today's session should be this right now. Right in front of us, this is what must be important. You must look for this today. You're looking to see, are we going to pull back today and hold this demand below? If we do, a long side trade there. That's your first long side trade. I'm going to say something important right now. I said something about SPY's chart that is wrong. What did I say that was wrong about SPY's chart? I said if we pull back here to 555 again, which is 5600 here, yes, this is a long side trade. I actually disagree with that statement now looking here at the ES chart. I'm changing my mind here. Why? Because this is no longer a long trade anymore. If we are going to hold the market has to hold a higher low here, meaning we must maintain above this demand zone for bullish sentiment. So this is why I go over ES, because I can very clearly see if we are bullish sentiment here, we are forming a low here, a low here, a low here, a higher low here at 5668 to 5658, in which case if we do pull back, we must hold in this green band for long side trades. So the only long I have here is right here in this green band. If we lose this green band, I expect downside, and I wouldn't even expect this level to hold anymore because again, it's no longer an uptrend. We are now entering those lower high formations. So if I'm carrying this information back over to SPY now, which we can do briefly, let's carry this information back over to SPY's chart. Back over to SPY, I mentioned the fact that we can look for the 562 bounce, which I still agree with, but I don't like this 555 bounce anymore. This to me is no longer active today's session. What would be active today's session would be a hold above here at 566 for longs, or you're looking for a 562 pullback long trade. That's all I'd watch for long side trades today. That's it. Okay. So again, I'm kind of changing my mind there. I know it's a little different, but I hope you guys understand why I'm saying that. So let's move on, guys. I want to move on now to our actual tickers of the day. Of course, I know this is a little bit confusing, but this is what we have, and I don't want to embellish it. I just want to go over things as they are. Today's session, though, watch 570 as resistance, and then the QQQ, watch 492 as resistance. 491, 492, because that's, of course, that's that daily 200 SMA. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about Nvidia. So Nvidia is the stock of the day. We spoke about Nvidia so many times, over and over and over and over and over again. We spoke about one level in particular. We said, hey guys, if the 115 break and retest comes in, you should trade it, right? And this was my big trade on Wednesday session. Actually, I made a few thousand on SPY. But to be honest with you, it wasn't like my big trade. This was actually a much bigger trade for me because this was the most beautiful break and retest pullback long here at 3:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, I wish this was like at 9:30 or like 9:45 or something, but of course it's happening at 3:50. This was the break and retest here at 1:15, and we saw an insane trampoline bounce here off the 1:15, and it is moving higher back into supply here at 1:20. The question becomes, what can we do here now on the Nvidia chart? Well, very simply, this is what we're going to do. We're going to sell our Nvidia options if you swung it, right? I swung some options into from yesterday's session into today's session. I'm going to sell into 120 because we're at supply here. And I'm going to look to see if two things can happen today. I'm going to look to see if we can pull back long here 115. Absolute beautiful level to watch for, and this should be our main focus today's session. 115, 115, 115 bounce today. That's your top watch. Opportunity number two, and this is important. Again, I'm going to show you something that's important today's session, right? There's a level here at 117.50, 117 really. 117 is a level from yesterday's session. Yesterday high, we formed here at 117. If you're going to look for pullback longs here, you can also watch for pullback longs here at 117, right? 117 as your bounce area number one. This is more aggressive, but if you see us confirm here, watch 117 today, right? Don't just watch 115, also watch 117. Secondary, of course, still 115 as your bounce zone, and this is your main higher conviction area, but 117 is a logical spot to watch for longs today. So if you see us pull back today, watch 117 long spot, watch 115 long spot. Thirdly, if you see us break above 120, right? 120 is supply here. You don't really want to be long in 120. This is the resistance. We could see some reactions to the downside here. But if you do break and hold above 120, that's your break and retest for an upside trade back into 122, back into 123, 124. So today's session is really going to be all about the break and retest above 120 for longs. If you do break 120, we're moving higher back into 122, 123, 124. If we pull back today, watch 117 as your first demand bounce number one. And demand bounce number two is this 115 area, which is our highest conviction, our highest probability, and our best area here for long side trades. That's what I'm watching today. And this is the issue. If the video does fail back under 115, this is important because things happen, things change in the market, right? Things are changing every second. If we pull back to 117, beautiful bounce, we hold nicely, awesome, good trade. We pull back lower after failing 120, we bounce again here at 115, but then eventually we fail under 115. At this moment, you should no longer be longing the stock anymore. Under 115, this stock loses all bullish sentiment, and we should not be looking for any long side trades here. Again, if you fail 115, we should go back lower to 110 and potentially beyond. So be careful of a 115 fade. If that happens, you don't want to be long this anymore, right? Let's move on. I want to talk about the next ticker of the day. Let's talk about AMD. So obviously, Nvidia is being impacted by the chip strength. Chip strength is coming in because of some news yesterday after Trump announced that he'd be retiring some of the Biden era restrictions on chips. So you are seeing some strength here on AMD, but AMD, of course, has the same issue as Nvidia, right? A little gap up on AMD, holding our 99.5 level, but AMD is back at major resistance here. I would argue this, guys. You don't really want to be long AMD until we can get above these levels over here, right? These levels over here is at 104. 104 is your next big level. I would say this today. If you want to look for longs by 104. Long side trade back in 107. That's the only thing I see here on the AMD chart. I will explore some other ideas here. On the 15-minute, you can see, if you want to get really aggressive, you could watch this 99.5 level again for a pullback long, right? This has been demand recently. You can see demand steps in, demand steps in, demand steps in, demand steps in here at 99.5. So if you are going crazy today here in AMD, you could look for either a 104 break and retest, which is your higher conviction trade, or you could look for your pullback long here at 99.5 for a bounce opportunity. This is a little bit higher risk, but I can see the thought process there. Stop loss simply just under 99.5, and you're longing back into 100, right? Pretty simple chart here on AMD, okay? So let's move on, guys. Let's go over the SMH. SMH is going to be impacted by this news, and this is so important, guys. This is the most important reason why I'm even talking about chip strength today, is because we have a hold above 220, a hold above 220, 218, the supply that we said chips have to break above, and it has gotten fully above it. This to me is good, right? And what you're looking for today on the SMH is you're looking to see, hey, can we pull back into these double top highs to form a nice long opportunity here for demand, right? So today's session, watch to see, do we pull back to 220? This is your top watch here in the SMH. And of course, right, how that's going to dictate your trades here on semis. Well, you know this, right? At some point, SMH is going to have to fill this gap to the downside, right? At some point, it's going to fill this gap to the downside. I don't know if it's going to be today, but at some point, it probably should, right? It probably should fill this gap to the downside back to 220, and that's your long opportunity. So how is that going to dictate your trading strategy on, say, a Nvidia chart? Well, on the Nvidia chart, that means that we're probably not going to be, rhino long here. A rhino long is the idea of this, right? Rhino long to me, in my head, is like, you don't want to be someone that buys longs into resistance, right? Into supply. So if you were a rhino, that's what a rhino would do. They would just buy into a big level. They'd buy into a brick wall. We're not going to buy into brick walls, right? So I would argue our best case scenario here in Nvidia and chips in general is be open to a pullback today, back into 117, back into even 115. Be open to those pullbacks because even the SMH is telling us this, right? You gap up over supply, but you do want to see us pull back to the supply, to the supply, which has turned into demand for your long opportunity, right? That's the important thought today's session, right? So I hope you guys understand the chip side of things now. Avgo, I mean, of course, Avgo holding 200. I think Avgo, you missed the boat already. If you had to be long 200, if you're long 200 yesterday's session, you are a printer today. That's all it is. That's all you're doing. You're just probably selling at 212 resistance and walking away and enjoying your Thursday session. So that's what we have on the chip side of things, guys. Let's talk about Amazon, the next big dog for today's session. Amazon's a big dog. The reason why Amazon's a big dog is because Amazon weirdly reminds us of what chart, right? If you look at this Amazon chart and you look at this consolidation under 193, it almost reminds you of the consolidation we saw on Nvidia. Nvidia's chart was consolidated for a long period of time, and we are, oh, there we are. We are not loading, right? Okay, looks like we are. TradingView is absolutely having issues today. It is not just me. This can't just be me today. Back to Amazon. Nvidia's chart's not even opening. So let's go back to Amazon. But on Amazon's chart, guys, what we're watching for on Amazon is we're looking to see, are we maintaining above 193? Because if we are holding 193 and we see a break and hold above 193, that's your long opportunity, right? So today's session, watch to see if that happens. I'm gonna do a save and reload here, see if it works. Does it work? Does it make it faster? It's not making it faster. Are you guys also lagging here on TradingView? I wonder what's going on here. Interesting. Absolutely interesting stuff going on here with TradingView. We need to speak with them. This is crazy. This is insane. I'll do another reload here. Okay, we're back. We're back in business. We're back in business. Reset chart view. So here on the 190, here on Amazon, right? We have a very simple level here, 193. This I'm not going to go back into Nvidia because I don't want to play around with my charts today. But if you go to Nvidia's chart on your own, and you do it for a second, right? Look at the 15-minute chart here in Nvidia and compare it to Amazon's chart, and you're going to see. Here in this chart, right, we have a beautiful consolidation here under 193. What we're looking for now is looking for us to break and hold above this level. If we do, look for a break, pull back long retest, upside trade back into 200. That's what I'd watch today here on Amazon's chart is a break and hold above 193 for long side trades. Okay, let's move on, guys. If it does pull back, you're not looking for any longs here, right? No longs back in demand. No longs back in demand here. There is no demand below. The demand below is really back at 180. That's just my opinion, my 2 cents. I don't want a long between this channel. I would prefer longing above a break above the channel high or a break below channel low. That's my opinion here on Amazon's chart. Okay, let's go over Google. Google actually one of the most interesting stocks yesterday because Google was impacted by some news on Apple. If you guys are not aware of what's going on, Apple is exploring the idea of launching a AI integration to their to their search engine, which is of course Safari, and this is impacting Google. In the short term yesterday, we saw some aggressive selling, right? But we sold off into a level. We sold off into our 147 level here on Google, right? And the key thing to note is that we did maintain this support below. So we did maintain support below. We did maintain support below. But the stock is clearly weak, right? While the rest of the market's above our Wednesday's highs, Google is below our Wednesday's highs, right? It's well below Wednesday's highs. This is a stock I will be focusing on for some retest rejections, right? This would be a strong candidate for a retest rejection. What I would look for today here on the Google chart is I would look to see, can we pull back to one of our rejection areas? I think the best spot to watch out for today is going to be this 159 area, which is going to be that 61.8% retracement and these lows over here. And I the reason why I even drew a fib was because I could almost tell this was going to be the 61.8% retracement, right? You can see these series of lows here. And so that's the level to watch out for, right? You're going to watch to see if we can, I mean, even this, right? You can see these lows over here, 155. I'll have that chart as well because we are in supply this morning too. I will look to see if this happens today in Google's chart. I would look to see, does this gap up on Google get faded here after 155 or does it get faded here after 159, right? That to me would be what I'd be focusing on here in Google. Retest fades, right? Because again, this is a weaker name. Look for fades off the 155, look for fades off the 159, because again, big level of resistance, guys. So that's all I'll be doing here in Google's chart. Retest rejections in the short term. Joshua, absolutely, Joshua. Thank you very much. That is very kind of you. Let's go over Meta. So Meta's chart. On the Meta chart, oh, 603, right? 603. This is like, this should, if you are a technical trader, you should be saying, oh, right? You see this happen, right? Oh, what's going on here? You see a little bit of a potential hold here above major highs, right? Turning into support now in the pre-market. This is a chart you say oh to, right? This is a chart that you probably want to be focusing on for long as it's holding 603. So today's session, if you're looking for longs today, bam, right there, that's it, right? If we can maintain the 603 level, these previous Monday highs and the Friday highs, and turn it into support today pre-market, or not pre-market, but during the market open, that's your long opportunity today here in Meta's chart. 603 pullback long, beautiful double top highs, and conveniently the highs of yesterday's session, right? Turning into support pre-market, into the session today, right? That's your long opportunity. So 603 to 601, you're risking $2 for an upside trade back at 610. That could be a solid trade today. If it fails back below 603, do not long this anymore. It probably just goes back lower into that daily 200 SMA, which is 580. So again, that's what I'll be watching here on the Meta chart, right? Guys, let's go fast now because I've spent way too much time on these errors and glitches with TradingView. I want to go as fast as possible. Let's go over Apple first. We have 474 likes in this stream with over 1,300 people here in the live stream. We gotta get the likes up, guys. Get the likes up as much as you guys can. So Apple chart. On Apple, 202 resistance. That's it, right? Remember I said something about Google, right? I said Google weak. Apple also weak, right? I don't really like Apple until it can get above 202. That's my important pivot here. In fact, if I saw a little bit of a pop today, a little popper in Apple, I'll be looking for fades here at the 202 spot. Why? Because this name is a relatively weak name. Look, do something for yourself, right? Compare Nvidia, right? Which is a strong, beautiful gap up strength name, right? Strong, right? To a name like Apple. And you just look at Apple, you're like, damn, well, Apple has some relative weakness, right? Even Google, right? Google, of course, has that relative weakness. Apple today, right, is not something I'd be looking for longs, right? Unless we can somehow get above 202, I think in the short term, we should be looking for pop and fades here, right? So if you're watching Apple, look for pop and fade. You can even look for a breakdown under, I would say even under 197, right? Under 197, a failure play to 197 for puts back lower. This could be interesting right here, right? Watch this right here. Watch this level right here. This low from that Tuesday session and the breakdown level from Wednesday session. Watch to see how we respect this level today, right? Because this could be this orange line, in my opinion, right? This orange line is really going to be where your trade is set up, right? Because if you see us fail back below these lows again, right? I would expect a similar move back down to 193. So look for that today. Look for this type of play. That could be a trade, and even this could be a potential trade here as well. I don't even like this level anymore. This 198.5 to me is no longer being respected. So I'd watch to see fades here at 202 or a break and retest short back under 197 for puts, okay? With that being said, we are now going to move on to Tesla, because if we don't do Tesla, I'm going to get people in my IG, in my DM saying, Brett, what is wrong with you? Why don't you go over Tesla? Tesla is my favorite stock. So we must go over Tesla. Tesla 280, right? You can see here, I mean, to be honest with you, Tesla maybe is a chart we should stay away from. It's, yesterday the level was 280, right? We said 280 break and retest. I think we said yesterday on Tesla, we talked about 280 at level. Today's session, it still is 280. If you do see us break and hold above 280, you could look for this today, right? That could be your trade. 280 break and retest alongside back in 284. So this trade here is what we spoke about yesterday's session, and obviously that did not happen, right? But today's session, it potentially is happening, right? If you see us break and hold above 280, that could be your long side trade. So 280 break and retest, longs back into 283, 284. If we do fail back below 280, again, if you fail back below 280 here, if you fail back under 280, you don't want to be long this stock. In fact, look for shorts back down to 272, okay? That's what you're looking for today's session. It's all defined by, are we above 280? If then bullish. If we're below 280, if then bearish. That is your gauge going into our session today on the Tesla chart. Guys, it is 9:06 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to cut it off here because I want to lock in before trading. Thank you all for joining in. I know we had some technical errors today, but thank you for bearing with me. I'll see you guys all for live trading. Happy and safe trading. Bye, guys.